Stories inform us to what is possible. Stories influence us to what is needed. And stories inspire us to what could be. Stories happen when people live their life to the fullest. These are the storytellers. Hi, welcome to Storytellers, the program that gives you the true stories that good does happen. Whether it's from an occupation, a vocation, or a hobby, there are people that are little known to the outside world that are doing amazing things for their community or individuals in that community. And storytellers bring you their stories. Today, we're with Connie Smith, the author of Never Lose Heart, Grounded in His Love and Lifted by You. This trilogy really speaks to people where they are, whether they are a believer or on the fence, or maybe a non-believer, because Connie addresses the hard questions. Connie Smith, thank you so much for giving me your time for today. This is so important because these books speak to the individuals.
Thank you.
I want to ask you something very specifically. First, I want to tell you why I'm starting with this. I'm going to start with the why you wrote these books, because I think what makes a person sit down and I heard once a writer said, slit both their wrists at the typewriter and hope something comes out on the page. Why did you do these books?
Well, I never aspired to be a writer at all. These books were born out of my journey, a very desolate journey where I began having encounters with God's love in a way that I never imagined. I was single, and it just seemed as if every area of my life had come to this dead end. For the first time in my life, I started to wonder, does God even exist? Is he just a figment of my imagination? And if not, then why do I feel so disconnected from him? Why do I feel as if he has abandoned me? Because this had gone on for years, where I just felt very lost in my life. However, I knew that I had a choice, and like I had said earlier, that I started to recall the times in my life that I knew that he was there for me, and so I knew I had a choice to either stand on those promises that he is still with me and that he's still for me, or I could choose to believe the negative thoughts, like that he has abandoned me, and surely I've done something to mess that up.
When you said that, you started thinking back about the times that he did help you. You know what popped into my mind? That famous picture of the two footsteps going along, and then there's only one step, and the saying, you thought I wasn't there, but that's when I was carrying you.
Yes, the footprints.
Tell me, what were you doing? Because you were pretty high up in corporate world. Tell us about that, because you were successful in the secular sense of it. Tell us what you were doing there.
So my background is in marketing and sales, and I was primarily in the healthcare industry, like you, for many, many years, and then I went into the publishing company. And yes, for all practical purposes, I was very happy in my career, and I grew in my career, and my career was a really good place in my life. But after so many years, I just came to this place where I felt like I was supposed to be doing something different, but I wasn't sure what that was. But it just left me feeling very just confused.
You know what popped in my mind when you said you were very successful and all of that, but after so many years, the phrase popped into my mind, and tell me if this didn't pop into your mind, is this all there is?
Right.
Did that happen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. I reached this point, like, is this all there is? And I was also battling some health issues, which really kept me back. And then all of this just piled up together just really caused me to be paralyzed under this cloud of depression. And so again, I thought, how did I get here and how do I get out? What is my life supposed to look like? And again, I was very grateful for the things that I did have. It wasn't that I was not grateful, but we're all created for a purpose, and we all have destinies, and some of us have dreams and passions that we want to pursue, and others of us are still wondering what that passion or what that dream is supposed to look like. So
we're at the point now in your journey that you used using your words, we were created for something special, but you hadn't gotten the answer what that special was yet.
Mm-hmm. Right. So during these years of just walking through the desert, all I knew to do at that time was really I went out on long walks and I just poured my heart out to God. And I said, Lord, if you are really here, then show me what to do. I know that you must be in this barren place.
Was there ever a time that you actually, because I've read so many stories, I yelled out in frustration, God, where are you?
Yes, where are you? So yeah, that's
Did that ever happen with you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Verbally out.
Probably, yes, because I do pray out loud, so yeah.
Okay, so you do. Okay.
I'm sure, but when you're on a walk, you don't want to look like a crazy person,
You could have had an earbud in your, like you were talking to someone.
True, but however, this was about 10 years ago, so, but.
That wasn't that, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, on this journey, it's very interesting. After a period of time, my eyes started to be drawn to these natural heart images all around me. At first it was the craziest thing, and I didn't realize even that it was God speaking, but I would just, my eyes would go to a heart shape, like in the pavement or in the bark of a tree, or I'd be walking along the sidewalk and there would be a heart-shaped rock sitting right in the middle of the sidewalk. And then I started noticing how many varieties of leaves are heart-shaped. And one morning I went to scoop my cat's litter box, and guess what? There was a heart in my cat's litter box. And I'm like, okay, this is not a coincidence. And I knew that it was God's way of speaking to me and saying, I'm here, and I've always been here. I was just waiting for you to get out of the way. I was waiting for you to be humbled and emptied out so that you could come into a deeper place of knowing me. And, like I said, I've always, I've known the Lord, I feel like my whole life, but, it was more like head knowledge. And, God was saying, I want to go deep into your heart, and I want this, I want to have that deeper relationship with you. And so these are the words that I was hearing as I was seeing these hearts, because to me, they were such gifts from God. It was almost like they were love letters.
So you had a picture on one side, and then the words actually, they felt as if they were put into you, and that's how that opposing page went to that picture?
Yeah. Well, yeah, in terms of the book.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
But see, I didn't know I was going to write a book when I started seeing these hearts.
How long did
I started just taking snapshots with my iPhone, just for my own personal collection, not ever imagining that I would do anything with them. But after accumulating so many of these photos, I said, Lord, am I meant to share these in some form or fashion? And it was very clear to me that they were to go into a book titled Never Lose Heart. And so I thought, gosh, I don't consider myself a writer, and I don't even really want to be a writer, but I'll do my best. And so the Lord just dropped in the words for this book, but it's written in first person narrative, so it's meant to be read as God's voice, and it takes you through certain situations, just common things that we all struggle with. And so those challenges and issues are addressed in the book, and God is saying, I am here. No matter what, no matter how you fail, or no matter what you believe, I'm here, and I love you.
It sounds to me like it was a personal memoir. How did you go from personal memoir to actually putting it out there for all of us? What happened?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So when I finally had the book written, I made a little mock-up of the book, just to show my family and friends, just to get feedback. And the feedback, you expect your friends to, want to support you and encourage you, but you can tell the difference too. Like if they are like, no, you have got to publish this book. And so I felt, very confident about it, that's what God was calling me to do. And so I'm very thankful. I do have a lot of friends in book publishing, and they were so helpful and kind in steering me in that direction to get to see if any doors would open, just with traditional publishers. But at the same time, I knew that if no one wanted to pick up the book at that time, I was still going to move forward with self-publishing the book.
You might not want, no, I'm going to bring it up anyways.
Okay.
I did a book review on your book, and that's how you know, and I called you up and said, can I do an interview? But someone in the public that I never knew before saw my book review, and we got in touch, and he wanted to tell me about his experience with your book, and he never knew you before. You know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Joseph Chargois. Tell us that story, because family and friends are one thing.
Yes.
A total stranger is something. Please
Absolutely,
share.
yes. So, oh my goodness. So this was a very pivotal moment in me deciding to self-publish the book. So my phone rings one day, a number I did not recognize, and back then I didn't pick up the phone if I didn't recognize the number, but something compelled me to pick up the phone that day, and this man on the other end said, hi, is this Connie Smith? And I said, yes, and I'm like rolling my eyes like, oh, I shouldn't have picked it up, because this person obviously doesn't know me, because I go by Connie, not my full name. And so anyway, he said, well, this is Joseph over at Lexus. He said, I'm in the sales department, and I'm just wondering, did you recently trade in a car here? And I said, no, but I had my car worked on there last week. And I said, why? And he said, are you the author of Never Lose Heart? And I said, what? I'm like, how do you know?
Because you would only given it to family and friends, right?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And I was so confused, because I was like, oh my gosh, how do you know? And he said, well, I found this book in the back of one of our cars. And he said, I'm in sales, and I was taking a client on a test drive. And when we were finished, I looked in the back, and there was this book sitting there called Never Lose Heart. And he said, I was so intrigued by it that I took it back to my office and I read it cover to cover. And he said, this is why I'm calling you, to let you know that I desperately needed this message today. And he said, is this book for sale? And I'm like, Lord, like, oh my gosh. And in that split second, I said, it will be very soon. Because it was almost like it was a message from heaven, like, go forward with publishing this book. And I said, I'm so touched, that the book has touched you. But I said, you have no idea what this phone call means to me. Because I said, God has totally used you to in this process. And I said, thank you for calling me. Because, the other thing is, how many times, when you find something that encourages you or inspires you, how many times do you actually take the effort to call the person, to say, this meant a lot to me? And so I was blown away. So it was from that point on that, I moved fast to get the book published. And I said to him, I said, listen, what you're seeing is actually just the mock-up. I said, that's not even the real book. I said, the real meaning, I'm going to get it professionally designed. And I said, when it's ready, you'll be the first to get a copy. So I went back 3 months later with the final book, and he hugged me like I had saved his life. And he said, we've got to do something. And I said, what do you mean? He said, we've got to have your launch party here. And I'm like, here at Lexus? I'm like, what? And I'm
a book thinking, on God's letters to people at Lexus.
Yeah, I'm thinking, how does this tie in? But I was very, flattered by it. But I thought, well, that's sweet, and I left, just think, well, he called me, it was not even a week later, and he said, I've already talked to my general manager. He loves the book. and we want to host your launch party for Never Lose Heart. And so it was, again, just another sign that this book was meant to be out there. You know, doors were opening.
One evening, I was on a test drive, and at the end of the test drive, I was cleaning out the vehicle and putting it up, and I saw a book laying on the back seat. I'm like, oh my God, this is a sign. It said, Never Lose Heart. One of the first things I read was, in the desert of life, I am always here. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. I gave her a call, and said, hello, this is Connie Smith, and all I hear is silence in that. And she said, oh my God, I wasn't sure I wanted to publish that. And I just sat there and read your whole book. I love it. You have to publish this book. And I want to be the first person to buy a copy. Thank you, Connie, because you definitely brought a smile to my face that day and continue.
These things have brought you acclaim from a whole bunch of different individuals. You've positively, because you took the time, money, and effort, and the chance of failing, falling on your face, and put it out there, and it's really affected people. But I want you to share what came about because of this book. Who did you meet? Who came into your life?
Oh my goodness. Thank you for bringing that up.
You didn't think I was going to ask you about that.
Thank you for bringing that up, because yes, God blessed me with the most... I'm sorry. You have to read
it out. Let it out, Connie.
Okay. So yeah, actually it was through the book series that I met my husband, and he...
And he wasn't here in Nashville, was he?
No, he was in North Carolina, and so we met on Facebook. That's a whole other story. We connected there because he saw what I was doing and was very inspired by it, and so we met. Next thing you know, we're planning a wedding.
And that was how many years ago?
We got married in March of last year. You want me to say any more? I mean, there's a whole other story.
And I'm going to, hopefully Christopher, that's your husband's name, will give me an interview because he's a singer-songwriter and a very positive, life-affirming person, something that we sorely need in our world today. Before I got in touch with you to officially ask you, may I do an interview with you, I went on Amazon and I looked up stuff written about your book. And I want to share with the audience here, this is from Jason Baker. I purchased Never Lose Heart for my daughters during a particularly hard time for our family. I wanted them to know that God's love surrounds them every day, no matter what situation we may find ourselves in, which you address in the preface of those books. Right up, you don't avoid those hard questions, pain, problem, paradox. Well, to go on, right away, I thought I purchased it for ourselves. Right away, his daughters, they started seeing hearts everywhere. And what also became obvious to me was that some of these hearts had been there the whole time, but in my rushing around, meaning the adult, I was completely missing God's love for me. I will always remember my 8-year-old looking up at me while reading Never Lose Heart for the first time and saying, quote, "This book answers all my questions if God really exists." My daughters will now forever see God's love and around them in a whole new way because of Never Lose Heart. Thank you, Connie. So people are seeing hearts everywhere, even 8-year-olds.
Oh my goodness, I never imagined the impact that it would have on kids. So, I mean, it literally applies to any age, no matter how young or how old, male, female. I mean, it just, no matter what your walk of life is or background. And so it's a very, universal book. And I'm so touched by that testimony. And it actually...
And that's just one of many.
Tears. Yeah. I mean, it
and you also, when we first talked officially to get this interview going, you said that you have received letters in the mail. See, it's real easy to get on a computer and send an email.
Yeah.
But to sit down, pick the card up, write the letter, and thank you, that's really saying something about the author.
Yes, I mean, each note that I receive, I save these. They are such gifts, and they're very encouraging, to me too, just, to keep going. And, it's just, I do get choked up, over, this whole thing, because, there's so many times when our life is like at a standstill, or we're going through something and we're like, how is this any good? How is this going to serve any purpose? It's so confusing why God, will allow certain things, or for us to walk through certain things. And so as I look back, on that desert journey, and how God revealed himself to me in a deeper way, I'm so grateful. And I look back and I'm like, thank God that I went through this, because, really it is so true that he uses everything in our life. I mean, our sorrows are never wasted, our heartbreaks and our struggles, and, he's in it. And, if we didn't have to go through anything, think about the type of people we would be. This is what creates growth and character, and this is what brings us closer, to the Lord, and to know our Creator, and to find, because He made us for specific purposes. So we got to get with Him to see what it is. And so many times it's easy for us just to go our own way.
I want to point out that Connie, in writing these books, keep in mind, took a chance. One of the most difficult things an individual can do is actually put this out there, and this is for you, and people ignore her or stomp on it. And that does happen. But you took the chance, and you wanted to share the positive message that our God has for everyone. And I want to thank you both from my heart, the bottom of my heart, for doing that, because you didn't avoid the tough questions, but you also revealed the deep, abiding love that is for everyone that has been here on earth. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Darren. It's such a pleasure to be with you.